Hey y'all, it's Lindsay, and today I'm going to do some Trim Healthy Mama food prep for my upcoming week. I am going to make some wonderful white blender bread, I'm going to make some mayo, and I think I'm going to make some breakfast burritos just to make my mornings and my lunch times a little less hectic. So I thought I'd bring y'all along with me. I've got my oven preheating back here, and I'm going to get started on the wonderful white blender bread. I have mixed up my wonderful white blender bread batter. That was hard to say. And I received the tip to use the hand mixer. I have found that using the stick blender on the xanthan gum with the egg whites first and then using the hand mixer for the rest of the ingredients gives me the best results. And I've also discovered that baking in a 9x13 pan makes for a much more even and less likely to deflate loaf of bread. And I'll show you how I slice this up whenever it's cooled. And now we're ready to go into the oven. Next up, let's make some mayonnaise. So I've got a couple of eggs, a squeeze of Dijon mustard, a splash of apple cider vinegar, maybe a quarter to a half teaspoon of salt. Now let's go to the blender base. For my spout, this is where I pour in my oil slowly, and it tends to spatter all across my cabinets up here. So I'm gonna take this little washcloth and I'm gonna cover this and pour the oil in through a small opening so that I can minimize my mess. So I've got this thick mayo here, and I've still got some thinner mayo up here that I'm gonna scrape down my sides and try to incorporate that into here because I do not want to miss out on all of those healthy fats in there. With my mayonnaise, I like to have it in a squeeze bottle, and I happen to have a couple of those right here. Two bottles of mayo, ready for the week. Timer's going off. Let's check this bread. I would call that brown. So I'm gonna let this cool for a little while, and then I will show you how I cut this in order to make some really good sandwich bread. So my wonderful white blender bread is somewhat cool, and I'm going to take a serrated knife and I'm going to split it down the middle lengthwise. And then I'm going to slice it into thirds widthwise. So I had to take a pause because the baby needed to go to bed. So here's my wonderful white blender bread, and I've cut it into my 6 square-ish shapes. And now what I'll do, once this is fully cooled, I will bisect this, or I might even try to make 3 slices, but because I've got so many craters here on top, I'll probably just bisect it. And actually, let me just do that right now. So I really like doing the wonderful white blender bread in the 9x13 pan. I don't know that I get as many servings out of it by doing it this way, but I do know that I get consistent slices. I don't have it deflate on me, and I'm able to get a more enjoyable sandwich for myself. This fits so well in the toaster. It fits well as just a regular sandwich. It does really well as like grilled cheese. I really enjoy this as a grilled cheese. So consider trying the wonderful white blender bread in a 9x13 and seeing if that works out well for you. Sometimes I'm able to slice this in 3 pieces instead of just 2, and usually the center slice is pretty thin, or else the outsides are just kind of more difficult to keep together. But whenever it's fully cooled, it's a lot easier to slice it into thirds. So my wonderful white blender bread is made, my mayo is made, I've got eggs back here that I need to turn into some breakfast burritos. I baked up this particular spaghetti squash so that I could have it in my refrigerator, because later on this week I'd like to make the creamy garlic spinach spaghetti squash bake off of Trim Healthy Table, and that's on page 135. And in order to also complete that recipe, I've got chicken breasts in here. I've got them seasoned up with a little salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic. And I'm just baking those off so that way whenever I want to make that recipe, I've got all my ingredients just waiting for me ready to go.